Thank you, Joe. This past year also marked a turning point for the 133 million square foot suburban market. Net absorption reached 2.8 million square feet, and vacancies ended the fourth quarter just below 18%. Driven by growth both in the local and regional economies, rising business confidence, and increased hiring in all industries, 2014 proved to be the suburbs' strongest year since 2007. But with a marketplace that's anywhere from 40 miles to as little as 1.5 miles from Logan Airport, Boston, Cambridge, and the suburbs, they really are all interconnected. Tenants, landlords, and developers truly hate to pioneer when they don't have to. They are forever looking over their shoulders to see what has worked for the competition. So with a full program ahead of us, let me answer the 5 questions that I know are burning up inside you. Question 1, short of a drone or even an Uber moving their project to Kendall Square or the Seaport, how are developers making their properties or projects relevant given all the competition you've just heard from Joe and Ron? Question 2, what happens to all that space that is, quote, left behind after you see these major announcements of companies relocating? Question 3, speculative construction. Will it happen, or will build-to-suits continue to be the order of the day? Question 4, what are rents going to do? And then question 5, why is it that first-time visitors to a casino playing roulette will choose red over black 72% of the time? Perhaps that's a question I will leave for our keynote, but I do have my opinions. So let's get started. You've all heard about the major transactions in the marketplace, and most of the time it's a company moving into new construction. But tonight, we want to focus on not that new, more efficient, better amenitized product that might express a company's brand, but that older product that's left in its wake. Let me mention a handful of transactions just to get you thinking along these lines. First is TripAdvisor's. They're moving into a new building in Needham, signed a 15-year lease, paying rents of $34 triple net, and they're leaving 175,000 square feet of space in Newton. This single-story 1960 vintage former Polaroid facility will be redeveloped by Crosspoint into a retail-anchored development. And not too far away is General Dynamics. They're relocating to Dedham from Needham, and they have sold their 300,000 square foot campus on 28 acres to Normandy Partners for $54 million. Normandy is now master planning a mixed-use development. But the story here is that the land had all the value and the existing buildings, zero. Converse. Remember a year ago when we announced Converse moving to the North Station? So what's happening to their headquarters in North Andover? Essentially, these buildings are being repurposed and repositioned to include residential space, restaurant space, a small amount of office, and a boutique hotel. The developer, RCG, makes the decision to take advantage of this one-time vacancy to pull off a mixed-use project. And then there's Smart Bear, an office tenant, relocating from the Shoe in Beverly into a new speculative office building in Assembly Row, developed by Federal Realty. They'll occupy 34,000 square feet, moving out of 18,000 square feet. You've also heard just from Joe about Partners moving into their 800,000 square feet in late 2016 and early 2017. But what you may not know is that they're leaving behind somewhere between 12 and 14 properties throughout the marketplace. And a year from now, we'll probably have a very good handle on which ones will be repositioned, released, repurposed, or raised. And then Vistaprint and Keurig, just to make the point. In both cases, these wonderful companies have come from Class B buildings and have moved into new Class A properties. But the Class B suburban marketplace is strong. It has demand. And this product type absolutely is the go-to product for growing companies. These new companies see little value in wanting to pay to be in the nicest property in the neighborhood. For those companies, being in the neighborhood is what really is the first priority. Question 2. Let's look at the reinvention of properties. This economy, as you imagine, has given owners the confidence to spend money, to be bold, to think outside the box on projects that simply do not work. And we'll profile a few examples. The Atrium in Newton on Route 9, 280,000 square feet, 4 floors, 5 levels of underground parking, well located, vacant for the past 3.5 years. They've had showings, they've had activity, but not a tremendous amount, and oftentimes not even a second showing. In its current condition, the property didn't work. Tenants couldn't make sense of it. So the owners make the bold move to put on a fresh window line, bringing it back to its core. Now messaging that the top 2 floors will be for office or medical, the Route 9 property facing space will be for destination retail, and the lowest level will be for amenities. And then there's 105 Rosemont Street in Westwood, right in the heart of University Station. This was last occupied by State Street Bank almost 7 years ago. It's been vacant since. It got acquired for $75 a foot last fall by National Development and their partners. They've decided to put a new facade, new windows, turning the building truly into a multi-tenant office building with lobbies, atriums, a fitness center, a cafeteria, a smart bar, and improved the signage. Again, there were many tours over the last 6 years just given its large block of vacancy, but nothing ever took. And if one were to look further south, just 6 miles, you'll note what the Campanelli companies have done at Heritage Landing, taking 3 buildings that were predominantly occupied by State Street Bank. They acquired those buildings, and what they have to show today is a flurry of activity, and you're realizing that updating a building matters. Tenants will follow. The Lynx on Arsenal Street in Watertown was a Verizon garage, and we'll see more of this in the inner suburbs. 85,000 square feet, 33-foot clear repair facility. It's being turned this spring into an urban tech center. They're going to add a floor, put in some atriums, and lease it up. This is a good example of the inner suburbs where the land and the location are extremely valuable, but the building itself needs to be absolutely repurposed for its next journey. Now let's deal with speculative construction. We know of at least 3 developers that would like to move forward with projects in 2015. There's Reservoir Woods in Waltham. And if it weren't for the Ebola health scare, the Ukrainian unrest, or the China meltdown in their economy, Marcus Partners has said that they would have liked to have started this project last September. It's a 220,000 square foot building they're planning, overlooking the Cambridge Reservoir, with rents in that $32 to $34 triple net range, and delivery would be 15 months from once they break ground. And then there's Boston Landing, which we all drive by on the Mass Pike quite often, currently the home of New Balance and WGBH. Mr. Davis and his partners are moving forward with a 10-story speculative building adjacent to the newly announced Bruins practice facility. And then finally, 20 City Point. This spring, Boston Properties will make a decision on whether to move forward with this 200,000 square foot spec office building adjacent to the Wolverine Worldwide corporate headquarters in Waltham. But the takeaway today is that there's not going to be a lot of speculative construction over the next 2 years. Because on a close look, we know 2 things. One, if speculative construction were to happen, it would happen between Burlington and Needham. And 2, if you look at that market today, you will see a tremendous amount of first-class properties that have significant vacancy. So all in all, we're not going to see robust speculative construction, but every year we'll see 2 or 3 projects in which we will mention. Let's turn to 2015 major deals. In front of you is a list of companies that we think are going to make the headlines in 2015. These are tenants in the marketplace looking to make decisions. We anticipate that the Boston Globe will do a major transaction south of the city, relocating some offices, but principally their publishing operations. We believe Clark Shoe will move forward with a 120,000 square foot commitment to move to the former Polaroid site on 128, now anchored by Market Basket. Shire, as Joe mentioned, continues to grow, and they will most likely backfill space that Vistaprint will make available when they leave Lexington. And the Harvard School of Publishing will most likely be backfilling space that New Balance will leave behind once they move into their new corporate headquarters. The takeaway is simple. It's going to be a very active year. Companies are hiring, balance sheets are strong, and transactions happen because 99% of the inventory in our marketplace is leased. And tenants are looking for that efficiency and that better amenitized properties that we've talked about, and they will tour the market thinking that a move might help them with their employees to express their brand and make them more relevant. And with rising rents, given the tremendous amount of properties that have sold, no tenant ever is just going to renew without a search. And the changing landscape for those who haven't toured the marketplace over the last 3 to 5 years is eye-opening. It's truly seismic. So finally, what are rents going to do? Well, the good news is for the landlords in the audience that rents will increase over the next 12 months. But the good news for the tenants as well is that depending upon your budget, you have a tremendous amount of space opportunities available to you throughout the entire marketplace. The marketplace is dynamic enough to continue to meet the demands of growing tenants. And being the shadows of Boston, arguably the capital of New England, and Cambridge, the intellectual capital of the world, as Joe likes to tell me, tenants have plenty of options to choose from when they decide to make a move, depending upon their criteria. And then finally, over the last 30 days, our research department, along with some of our brokerage associates, did a study. They contacted over 200 companies currently located in the suburbs, some clients of Colliers and some future clients of Colliers, asking them what were the reasons they are in the suburbs. And I share with you the 5 most commonly cited reasons as to why these companies are in the suburbs. And after getting caught in East Milton Square this morning, I think I'd like to add traffic. So until we find a way to keep the millennials from aging, I'm confident that the suburban marketplace will continue to be very dynamic, it will grow, and even these millennials at one point are going to call it home. Maybe it's not till they're 35 or 40, but at one point, given all the suburbs has to offer, the marketplace is truly going to be a winner. I would now like to introduce my partner, Kevin Phelan, who will talk to us about the capital markets.